Hey friends, Heather here from Prosperity Flow Coaching. Welcome to my weekly video series on how to build the business of your dreams. And I'm going to start this week with an apology. My weekly series went a bit off the rails recently and I missed 2 episodes. Yes, 2. I could give you a laundry list of why it happened, but I don't feel like that would be helpful to you. And my intention with these videos is to help you be more successful. So this week, I'm going to focus on where the heck does the time go? If you've been watching my videos, you might also notice that this week I'm not in one of my usual places to record. I decided to do this recording in my art studio instead of trying to set up a nice shot somewhere that I organized to look in a certain way. And I did that for a reason. I noticed that sometimes, well, for me personally, sometimes I don't get things done when I need to or when I want to get them done because I'm trying to create this vision of this perfect idea, this perfect recording, this perfect thing to say. And we all know that there's no perfect. That doesn't necessarily stop my inner perfectionist critic from demanding it of me. But really, if I stop and think about it, quite often perfectionism is just procrastination in a fancy dress. So today I just said, today good enough is going to be good enough. And when, by the way, did good become not good enough? I'm feeling a little rebellious today. So today I am good enough, and this is my live art studio, and I'm going to give you my ideas on how to figure out where the heck time goes. When you stop and think about it, really, we all have the same amount of time every day that we're alive. And if we believe everything we see, if you read too much social media, you would think that some of us are able to just cruise along and get things done and never seem to have any trouble. They're always on top of their to-do list. And then there's some of us who never get anything done and their to-do list is always out of control. I can be on either side of that fence. Some days I'm one, some days I'm the other. Maybe you are too. Some days I'm doing great, I'm being productive, things are happening, I'm super calm and focused, I'm in the flow. Then sometimes I just get a little off track. And it could be anything. I mean, it could be maybe I was up till 2 in the morning reading a book that I couldn't put down. So I got up 3 hours later than I wanted to and I, lost that productive time. Or maybe it's like today, the weather was so super nice. I absolutely had to go out for a walk since we've been cooped up for weeks trying to be, do our diligence and be physically distancing. Maybe there was a project I was working on and I seriously underestimated how long it would take me to get it done. Maybe I had a super amazing idea and I just wanted to go check one thing on the internet to confirm something. And then I noticed someone posted something on Facebook. And then I noticed an email that I thought I should respond to. And then, the squirrel went by. It could be on and on and on what distractions come up. Whatever the reason is, I'm sure we can come up with tons of them. Doesn't change the fact that some days we feel productive. Some days we can't figure out what the heck we did with our day. So then one morning I woke up and I had this idea. I'm going to implement it this week coming, and I'm going to invite you to try it out as well. I will report back on how it turned out in a few weeks. I need a few weeks to try it out. And the great thing about this idea is you don't have to tell anyone what you find out. You can simply take it as information, or you can act on it if you want. It's up to you. So here is my idea. And you may have tried this before, but who knows? Have you ever gone on a diet? Or check that, maybe not even that. Have you ever visited a nutritionist maybe? They ask you to do a diet log. They want you to write down every morsel of food that passes your lips and also, keeping track of your exercise. So they are trying to figure out if you are expending as much energy as you're consuming. Sounds easy, right? It kind of is, but it kind of isn't. I had to do this for a nutritionist when I was training for one of my marathons that I was running, and I started to have these dizzy spells, and they were worried that I wasn't eating enough. So she had this fancy form she wanted me to fill out. I was always forgetting it at home. I wasn't really measuring how much, down to the ounces of what I was eating. If I went to a party, I would just kind of wing it. I did my best though. And in the end, we did determine that she was right. I wasn't eating enough And then we adjusted my nutrient intake, and I went on and I completed my marathon. I won't say it was easy, but I did complete my marathon. So my thought was, well, why wouldn't you do that for time? Not like a timesheet like you do for work. I had to do that when I was an accountant. I did this many hours of this on client A and this many hours of this on client B for billings. But this is just an account of how you spend your days. So take a period of time, say a week, and make an agreement with yourself that you're going to keep track of what you spend your time doing every day in that week, from the time you get up to the time you go to bed. Heck, it might even be helpful to note how long you sleep. Sleep is super important, by the way. That's another topic. Don't get distracted. Now, this does not have to be complicated. You don't have to be so detailed that you write down, spent 5 minutes flossing my teeth. I spent 3 minutes brushing my teeth. I spent 10 minutes doing my hair, or an hour, whatever. Unless you want to do that. But I feel like that minutia of detail will take more time than is really going to be helpful for you in the long run. Also, for the week that you choose, don't change your habits. If you change your habits, it won't be a true reflection of where you're spending your time on a regular basis. And you want to see what you're doing the majority of the time, right? So you can always choose to alter your behavior after the experiment. But for now, just do what you usually do. You can go longer than a week if you think that 1 week doesn't really capture it completely. Go for a couple weeks. I use a chunk of a week just because it's an easy thing to agree to do for yourself. And I know that right now we're not necessarily doing the things we might normally be doing on a day-to-day basis, but that doesn't mean that this exercise won't be helpful for you in finding out where your time thieves are hiding. They can be tricky. So you can make this as fancy or simple as you like. A Post-it note stuck on your desk, maybe a dock in the notes section of your phone, and the phone has a clock on it so you can tell how much time you spent. Maybe a pad of paper, maybe just a note in your calendar. Make it whatever you choose. Make it so it actually fits how you live your life without you having to make too many adjustments. You don't need to run out and spend time trying to find that fancy journal. None of the stores are open anyway. And there's no fancy journal that is going to magically transform all of your habits and make you the most productive person on the planet anyway. There's no system of doing things out there that is going to magically transform you overnight. I hate to tell you. Small habits regularly are what makes change. And again, for this period, this first period, you don't want to change your habits right now anyway. You want to keep track of what's actually happening. And if you're a bit embarrassed by where you discover you're spending your time, don't share it with anyone. So don't censor yourself. You don't have to share it. If you spent an hour playing Candy Crush, write it down. You can only change something when you find out about its existence. And then the other side, you actually have to want to change it. I fully admit 100%, I use Duolingo like it's a video game, and I can play that thing for an hour straight. I justify doing this by the fact that I'm learning a new language, which is true. But if I'm procrastinating doing something else that I need to get done while I was learning French or Spanish or Gaelic or Danish, then it isn't much better than playing a video game, right? Not that video games are bad, but writing it down and recording where you spend your time for yourself makes it real. It brings it forward so you can see it and make decisions. When you get to the end of the week, add it up. So don't do this beforehand. Don't do it like day by day. It might ruin your surprise. Wait until at least a week has passed and then add up where you spent your time that week. So in a week, there's 168 hours. You might spend 56 of those hours sleeping, which I highly recommend. Then the other 112 or so hours are yours to spend as you wish. But it's not like money. You can't save it up. You can't spend it later. You have to spend it as it comes. So where did you spend this week's time currency? To help me, I'm going to use some categories so that I can keep sorted out easier at the end. And incidentally, these categories actually correspond with the way I have my to-do list sorted. I use an app called Monday.com to keep track and organize my to-do list by categories. So some of these, and inside these categories, I can do things like put notes, add urgency, add deadlines. That's for another day. But for this exercise, you can use broad categories like maybe personal for eating, grooming, shopping, something. Fitness for when you go for an intentional walk. Maybe you do yoga or something. admin work if you're doing some kind of admin. So to give you some ideas, I'll tell you mine. I plan, because I haven't done it yet, to use these broad categories. Some of them I will drill down inside of if I think it's going to be truly helpful to figuring things out. It just depends on what it is. So for instance, personal and fitness. I'm just going to remark personal. I'll probably keep personal and fitness separately. I don't need to know exactly what I was doing. I haven't totally decided yet, but if I think it will be helpful, I might note under personal how much time I was maybe binge watching Acorn TV or Netflix. Watching TV is not necessarily a bad thing. Downtime is as important as productive time. My interest is in tracking to make sure I'm balancing my productive time with my relax and recharge time and what I'm using to recharge myself. I also have a category called learning. So Duolingo does fall under learning, where I'm learning languages. I also have articles I want to read. I'm learning, maybe I'm going to go back and review my Facebook ad course, or I have an online course on stress reduction I'm working on. I'm a learning junkie and I like to keep learning new things. So learning is a must for me to keep track of. And in my to-do list, under category of learning, anything I think of or a course that comes up, I stick in my learning section. Now, you may not be currently treating clients if you're a massage therapist, but when you go back, you may have a category called clinic. Hopefully we'll be back soon. This includes not only your treatment time, but files, filing, processing, emailing, anything to do with treating and managing the treatments, not the admin side. I have an admin category for that. You might not. It's for paperwork that's not client files, like accounting, website management. By the way, keeping on top of that regular weekly accounting stuff, if you do it regularly, it won't be such a big project down the road. Then I have projects. And this is one where I actually do drill down. So last week I had an online workshop on how to teach online workshops. That one took a good deal of time before the build up for slides, marketing, organizing, emailing. And then there was the after the fact video editing, posting to the website, making sure everybody had what they needed. And I do often have multiple projects going on at one time. So drilling down into just projects give me an idea of how long each project is taking. Now, for your categories, you can add or delete as it fits your life. I'm also going to add a category on mine where I capture things like lost down the rabbit hole of the internet or distracted by a video game, something like that. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. I might call it miscellaneous with some drill down details on what I was doing. I hesitate in giving it a name because my objective is not to make myself feel bad about where I was spending my time. And you should definitely not beat yourself up over anything you discover. You're doing this as an experiment to see where you're spending your time, not to make yourself feel bad. At the end of the week, I'm going to add it all up and compare it to where I thought I was spending my time or where I planned to spend my time. We all have this idea in our heads of how much time we spend doing things. This is going to be the reality check, right? If there's something that needs adjusting, make a decision to work at changing it. Agree with yourself maybe that you'll keep track for another week after that, after you've decided to change something, so you can see if you've affected any change, what you spent your time doing. One of the time management techniques is to have specific points in your day where you stop and check in with what you're doing and confirm that it's something that's working towards what you want to be working on, or if it's what you plan to be working on. And if it's not, then shift gears. It's like a reset button. So if you find, that maybe you're spending a lot of time on Facebook surfing or the internet or something, and you decided you want to change it, you've got points in your day where you stop and say, am I doing what I plan to be doing? So your Facebook habit, make sure you replace it with something you want to be working on. Check in, are you working on it? And then shift if you're not. And at the end of this, if you're willing to share, let me know how you did on this. You don't have to give me the details, but just let me know if you found it helpful, if you had an aha moment, anything, any comments, anything that helped you kind of figure it out. So that's it for this week. Thank you for watching this video. Remember, if you missed any, you can always go back and check out the ones you missed. And to make sure you don't miss any, why not click the subscribe button? Or, hey, you could also share this with a friend. Until next week, please take care of yourself. Stay healthy. I am Heather, the owner of Prosperity Flow Coaching. I am a business coach for health and fitness professionals, and I help people who help people. I hope you have an amazing week. Take care, and I will see you soon.